Heel versus Face, AJ Lee. Her main roster run started from 2011 up to 2015. While during her main roster run, she had a lot of turns in that 4 year. So yeah, we were going to talk about that. So during their debut on the main roster as part of the Chickbusters with Caitlyn, while they debuted as baby faces, and later she turned heel because she joined the world champion Daniel Bryan for a segment that she actually became his on-screen girlfriend. So what happened then? During this storyline, well, the duo was actually on SmackDown. Daniel Bryan is retaining his championship against Big Show and Mark Henry, and he has a lot of storyline. And as the champion with the girl at his beside, while AJ is sometimes used as a distraction for his opponents. For example, the Big Show, when they had this one-on-one match, Big Show bumped to AJ, and then that accident that caused into a storyline, that huge bump. And then yeah, so this managerial role for AJ now as a heel, well, that lasted, that partnership, I think, until the Extreme Rules or something like that, or after Daniel Bryan dropped the title at WrestleMania. Well, they're going to do this kiss, and then Sheamus won the title in 18 seconds, which this actually helped Daniel Bryan in the later future. But in the storyline, well, Daniel Bryan now doesn't like AJ, and he is actually making her life miserable in the storyline, which later developed her new character as this woman who's confused, and WWE pertains it as a crazy storyline, which AJ pulled great or nice. And then yeah, AJ was still involved in Daniel Bryan's storylines as his girlfriend, and now being her own, who just accompanying Daniel Bryan, and then later on was put into the rivalry between Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and then Kane by having the three male guys with her and having those segments, which she kissed the three guys for the segment alone, kissing Kane, kissing CM Punk, and then kissing Bryan, and then doing this a lot of stuff, which is actually making her character more crazier than ever. And then later on, she became the Raw GM, which now as a baby face, she is screwing Daniel Bryan, and she is doing things for Raw that a baby face manager would, which is actually, this is a new thing for Raw, especially that most of Raw's GMs were actually heels. And yeah, it was, I think, some time before Raw had a GM with a babyface that actually lasted that long. And then she had this storyline with John Cena later on, which she turned on him, turning heel for the second time. So she has four turns by this point, which when she turned on John Cena, helping Dolph Ziggler, and then returning back to this managerial / wrestler role, which now as a heel yet again, which Dolph Ziggler later on has rivalry with Team Hell No with Big E, which AJ managed them both, like for Big E and Dolph Ziggler, which later on at WrestleMania they lose, but at the night after WrestleMania, that's where Dolph Ziggler made his ultimate mark and cashing in his Money in the Bank contract, thus having the biggest pop the day after WrestleMania 29. When that happened, this title run was short-lived due to his concussions, But yeah, after the title run, the relationship between AJ and Dolph Ziggler on screen was actually stopped, and then AJ teamed with Big E to have a feud with Dolph Ziggler, in which later on, while the duo of AJ and Big E lost that match at SummerSlam, I think, which later on AJ won the Divas title, which this is her biggest push of her career. She was on her top, and then she was dominating the division, which actually had her title reign for 295. I'm not sure if it is that exact amount of reign. It is just less than 300. And then she actually dominated the Divas division. She actually dropped a pipe bomb on the Divas roster, and then thus having this pipe bombshell by cutting promos on them, talking about pro wrestling, and then talking about models, which WWE actually focused that time on their Divas division, which some of them are actually much concerned on doing their looks rather than their wrestling style. Which after that promo, she was praised, and then somehow there's having this give Divas a chance thing for the WWE, which later on after her retirement actually returned of the women's division, which is actually sad because when the women's division returned, instead of the Divas Revolution, something like that, Divas division, she wasn't part of it. So, well, after this heel turn and after dominating the division, AJ herself, well, she took time off, I think just to heal her injuries or something like that. And when she returned, well, this return, I think it was short. It was actually 1 year or months before she actually officially retired. Well, because of WWE versus Punk on their real life issues, and then I think that almost all of her promos, Punk's name was mentioned by the crowd. Crowd are chanting for CM Punk and then so much and so more. And then I think she has some injuries. That's why it actually causes for her to retire at this time. And then yeah, in 2014 she has this last feuds as a babyface against Paige and against Nikki Bella, and then ending her career at WrestleMania 31 for her main roster career. So, which character is AJ specializes at? Both of her turns were actually great. Her as being a heel, a dominant champion, and her as a babyface connecting to the fans. But yeah, she was dominant as a heel, and people will think, well, if she's dominant at being a heel, will that be your choice? Well, yeah, somehow, but remembering also her face run, well, her GM run, it's a fresh thing to actually have a Raw GM who's actually a babyface rather than a heel. And she actually connect with the audience when she has to, and she was one of the most over divas in 2013-2014 time alongside with Paige and the Bellas. So yeah, and she was actually given so much momentum when she turned heel, and she has a lot of challenges. So yeah, I may prefer her both sides of her turns as a babyface or as a heel, because while she can command the audience just like how CM Punk did with his promos and interaction with the audience, like her husband, the wife can do the same thing and even can do it better some of the times. So yeah, that's it for my short video. This is a short heel versus face Well, because her main roster career was actually 4 years only. So yeah, this is Mikeratto. Subscribe, like, comment down below, and share this video. And I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you and have a good day.